this because people are going to be tuning in, so we're going to explain what's going on.
I need to tweet out the link, too, because the Twitter stream is sending the link.
I have been tweeting out the link, Muffin.
Well, Amanda Young says she can't find it.
Hi, everybody! We're live!
We are indeed live.
But there have been multiple technical difficulties. Let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do with this. That won't work. Let's see. Details, links, YouTube page. It's also even on the Facebook page, if you can believe it.
I do believe it.
We got this. Do. Events. Where is Amanda saying that she can't find?
SPSM.
Is it on? She wants it on Twitter?
Yep.
Okay, because the link is on the Facebook page, but I will go tweet it out.
Jonathan Singer.
Hi. It's good to be here.
We're having some technical
Mike Sevilla
difficulties.
says that he is trying still. But he doesn't know where you sent his invitation.
I sent it both his regular Gmail account and to the Dr. Anonymous blog Gmail account, and I've sent out multiple ones. I don't know how to send out any more. If there's another place to send them, please tell me. Having tech difficulties, but about ready to roll.
I like the little live button. So
They know, right?
they know.
Live! We're liver than you think.
It's real live TV.
It is real live TV. You know, one of the things that I think is so cool about Google Hangouts and the fact that we schedule these, or you guys schedule these and I just show up, is that it is the only thing that exists these days that harkens back to the good old days of TV.
This does feel like TV, doesn't it?
It's live. Everybody has to show up at this time.
Correct.
Yep.
Or they have to watch a rerun.
Right, who wants that?
It's not like, you know, so it's a water cooler moment we're creating here.
A bit of one.
Yeah. So we're waiting for Dr. Sevilla to join us. Dana Lewis just sent me a direct message on Twitter reminding us that the Hicksum chat is on right now. So if you're on Twitter and you want to talk about healthcare social media, hashtag HCSM with the lovely, talented, and far future-thinking Dana Lewis. You will have a great time. For folks interested in suicide prevention social media, some of that, we're going to be talking about some really interesting numbers that we just couldn't wait to share with y'all. And we realized that the Hicksum chat is going now, but just getting everybody in one place at the same time was a little challenging. And we asked for everybody's forbearance while we sort of co-event at this moment. Let's see. Have we got Dr. Sevilla yet?
I send him another message.
Hey, Tony.
Yes.
Let me send you the link. Oh, go ahead.
Remind me, what's the chat website that we use for that you recommend?
The chat thing that I like, the tchat.io.
T-chat, that's it. T-chat. I always forget the
Yeah,
T.
I love those guys. I don't know where they are or how they do it, but I like how they do things.
I also like T-chat. I think it's a really nice. It's very simple. It's very clean.
The thing that I like best about them is it's been very easy to teach people who have never used Twitter before how to do a chat on Twitter and how to hide the retweets. Because the retweets on a chat like our chat get to be a little overwhelming to people.
Yes.
And they think they need to read them all because they think they're original content because they've never done Twitter before. And a lot of our guests are new to Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that's actually what I really like is the hide the retweets.
And I discovered them because of Ann Becker Schutte.
Who is the best at teaching people who have never used it before and who are a little nervous. I'm not the best. She's the best.
She's a charmer.
Mike!
Mike Sevilla? The Dr. Anonymous?
That is not a face, Mike.
Family practitioner? Angry practitioner?
That is my face at the woman at my door today.
So angry.
I've like recovered.
So angry. I don't know how these computers work.
Neither do I.
I'm new to this.
Neither do I.
I'm but a simple lawyer. Simple caveman lawyer.
And for those of you who are just tuning
wanna
in,
throw
like
off my Rolex.
Tony has been like telling me like April keeps sending me I'm sending him the link.
I'm a long-time listener and first-time caller, so thank you.
And
for taking
all
my
of
call.
you guys who are like tuning in, we have all done this before. I don't know why it was so challenging today, but we're excited to be here. So one of the reasons that we're here and that this data is particularly timely, this is National Suicide Prevention Week. This is Suicide Prevention Month. We had World Suicide Prevention Day on Wednesday. There have been many, because I've only been involved in like a half dozen.
Wearing the OK shirt. Check it out.
Look! Look at that! There have been many people. There we go, Mike. That led me to control the camera.
One word, one voice, one life.
Be the one to start the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And there have been multiple. Let me see if I can turn the camera on purpose. There we go. There have been multiple social media campaigns on suicide prevention this week. I know I've participated in a handful, but there have been so many that any minute I had spare at work or was sort of not parenting and was conscious and not at home, I was doing these. I've been blown away. But then today's conversation was sparked because, here at SPSM, we're very interested in data about what things are actually happening. So the ideas and the concepts are great. The cause is something that's deeply heartfelt. But we're very interested in what kind of impact we're having. And then Jonathan sends us a graphic. And Dr. Singer, if you could do this, and I'm gonna would it be okay at the party if I assign some roles?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
so,
especially if they involve pirate hats.
If anyone wants a pirate hat, put one on. We're looking to get T-shirts. I think we're going to be having T-shirts soon. we have a committee that's going to be producing topical swag when people come up with memes that are chats.
That's awesome.
Enough said. So if I could get Mike to help do the moderation, because this data will be fairly new to Mike, and he can ask all those good questions that I know Mike is able to ask and explicate to a much broader audience. And if we could start with Dr. Singer and then bring in Tony for commentary on some of the facts that Dr. Singer brought up, then I'll do my best to watch Twitter and Facebook and our commentary and let y'all know what people are saying. Does that sound okay?
Yep. Cool.
Okay, and audience, we would have done this previously, but there were technical issues. We had them. So take it away, Dr. Singer.
Nice hat, Tony.
Thank you.
But one of the things that so if you imagine this graph for the last few months on using Google Trends, and Google Trends is just something that anybody can use. In fact, I wonder if I can do a screen share. Do you guys is screen share real time?
Yes, you can do it.
All right, so here I go. I'm gonna screen share.
Make sure it's the right screen.
And make sure you closed all those other tabs.
The other ones.
Yeah. All right. Can you guys see this? Trends, Google. I don't know what the.
Can.
All right. So here we go. So we're looking at Google Trends.
There they are.
And if you go onto Trends, you can put in any search term, and see these are the top ones here. We've got athletes and basketball players and stuff like that. So. But I subscribe to a news alert for the trend suicide, and I don't know what's going to show up here. All right. So interest over time. Here we have, this is since 2005, right? And for whatever reason, this is the 100 means this is the most number of searches for suicide was March 2005. I don't know what that is. Right?
That was the suicide of the Russian fellow who was involved in the somehow involved, I think, in the hit on that journalist, the murder of that journalist, Gary something or other.
Wow. All right. Tony Wood. Nice. That's impressive. So that's the top
international coverage. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. That's why.
Anyway, so that's the top one. That's 100. So if we think of that as the most number of hits, then we can look at all these others in a relative sense compared to the most number of hits. And then if we see this in August, we have a 72. And we can see where people were searching, and we see that suicide girls is a very popular search term. Suicide girls, of course, not having anything to do with suicide, but having everything to do with porn.
The internet is no longer just for pornography.
Not just for pornography.
It's a multifunction tool.
But
yes.
But a lot
of
of
cat
pornography.
Pictures and dog and funny dog videos.
So let's look at the past 90 days. So this is what we see. We see that August 12th, 2014 becomes the 100. It becomes the most highly searched date for the term suicide. And of course, August 11th, the day before, actually the evening of August 11th was when the news reported that Robin Williams had died at that point allegedly by suicide. And so it makes a lot of sense that everybody's searching suicide. In fact, let me scroll down. Let's see what... Yes, in fact, here we have... Can you see this?
Yeah, Robin Williams. Well, there's Suicide Girl again.
Yeah, sorry.
There's Robin Williams getting his 100% share.
That's right. So he's getting his 100% share here. And so I thought, okay, so everything's just rolling along here. Last couple of months, right? Probably some blips, probably, having to do with the SPSM chats, things like that.
And bam!
And then it actually, it jumps. This is a pretty noticeable spike here. And of course, Wednesday, September 10th, is World Suicide Prevention Day. And you see a slight trend upwards, right? So 17, 18, 19, 20, and then World Suicide Prevention, 26. And then there's a slight drop off for the rest of the week. But this is 3 points higher on this normalized scale of 0 to 100, with 100 being Robin Williams, which is a huge hit. That we saw a pretty decent increase over this week of Suicide Prevention Week, and particularly that day. So my question was, for the group, was how effective is social media, are these talks, is what we're doing for suicide prevention awareness, getting out the word. I wondered, do people need to search for suicide if we're providing content on it? I mean, might there be a paradoxical effect of providing a spot where people can go to get information about suicide risk so that they wouldn't have to search for it, or is by bringing it up, they're actually searching for it more often because it's being talked about more often. So those were some of the thoughts that I had. I'm going to stop sharing the screen for a moment because it just dawned on me that maybe we're looking at my screen and not each other's faces. So I'm going to stop sharing.
I'm mesmerized by the chart.
But the data is what we came here to see. In all truth, the data is what we came here to see.
And we can put the links in the comments.
So, yeah, we'll absolutely we'll put the links in the comments. Everybody say shout out to Mr. Sanford James.
Sanford
Yo.
James, howdy.
Woot, woot. And just really quickly, is there a way, Jonathan, as I'm responding to the feed, do we have any sense of what the numbers would be if we got rid of the Robin Williams outliers?
Yeah,
I don't have
can you
those.
search like the last week? That'd be what I'd be interested in.
Yeah, we can
you
search for
change
the
it.
last 7 days. So I can change that. Since I don't have the raw data, I can't do. I can't do without Robin Williams unless we just exclude that. But let me screen share again. Oops, sorry, hit the wrong button.
Because it
The
occurs to
general
me.
interest in a general search term like suicide is very similar to a general search term like cats or dogs or parenting or medicine. So the ability of any one topic to move that search term way up to the top is tremendous. It's amazing because there are millions and millions of people searching every hour about suicide or suicide-related topics. And remember that most users don't know the difference between the URL bar and a search box. So they type in a URL into the search box in Google and then click on it in the search list. So you're getting a decent behavioral take on how interested people are in a given term. But when you pick a term like suicide, it's going to be hard to move that number. Now, if all the news media all over the world are all interested in suicide on the same hour of the same day, it has a tendency to have a little effect, as you saw with the Robin Williams data. And you can do this. Everybody at home for the home game, you can put in any search term you can think of, the most general thing you can think of, and you'll see that there are similar issues.
So as we see here, just looking in the past 7 days, and then again the data are there's a lag, right? So we see here Friday is the last day that they provide us with data, but Tuesday, the second day of of Suicide Prevention Week, we're at a 78. Again, this is normalized to whatever the highest date is. And then there's an increase. So Tuesday, Wednesday, we get to the 100. So this is the most searched day. And then it drops, right? 87 and then 79. So Friday is slightly higher than Tuesday, which I guess we would hope for in terms of having searches and interests. Now, we could also do something, we can add a term, and if we want to put in quotation marks, suicide prevention, we can see what that looks like. Now, that provides us over the last 7 days with a really interesting comparison, which is that people search for the term suicide significantly more often than the term suicide prevention together. Now, I don't know if that's including times when people searched for suicide prevention strategies and it's counting suicide because it was in the search term as a separate search, and then suicide prevention, and so you will always have suicide being more since it's sort of would be duplicated. But even still, we see that the term suicide tends to be the one searched for much more often. Even still, we have this spike on World Suicide Prevention Day from a 6 to a 16, and then back down to a 2. So it looks like suicide prevention had a much greater drop-off than suicide in terms of search terms. Okay, so I will tweet this link, and then I'm going to stop sharing this, and we can have a little chat about this.
So is the discussion, like, oh well, it is because of the day, or is it because of a social media campaign, or is it because of an organization, or is it because of a group of organizations that are getting together? Is that kind of the gist of what our discussion is going to be about?
I will tell you what I'm very interested in discussing is, Jonathan's initial take, which is maybe all of the social media that we're doing is not having an impact, or maybe it is. And why is it that Robin Williams' stuff is having a massive impact and all the things we're doing every day is not? So, like, understanding, like, what is moving this data so that if we wanted to impact what we think is interest in suicide prevention, we would want to understand what we were finding. And the way to get to that, I'm not entirely sure. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I mean, I think comparing it to, a celebrity event, a news cycle event, I think is very unfair. To try to even reach, a fraction of what that 100 was for that news event. I mean, I don't think that's kind of fair to do. I mean, there are other types. I would presume there are other types of metrics that you could use, but to try to aspire to that type of search on the same day, on the same hour, as Jonathan said, with social media campaigns, I don't know. I mean, that's going to be a pretty high bar to try to reach.
Could someone, in comparison, do ALS and see, like, if the Ice Bucket Challenge had any impact?
Sure. So we could do our searches. If you want, I can do another screen share here. We can do some real-time searching. And for all the researchers out there, this is, commonly understood to be called phishing, which is a bad way to do research.
We're not doing research, though. We're just doing media.
I know. I'm saying this because research. This is, for people who are watching the reruns of this, for anybody to think, oh, I will just go on Google Trends and do a phishing expedition and see what sticks. I just wanted to clarify for the record that this is not a good way to do rigorous empirical investigations. But it is a really fun thing to do on a Google Hangout. So why don't we do?
I don't think you bring ReadyWhip to the rigorous empirical.
Whoa.
So I'm just going to tell you, it's a Sunday night, and we're going to look at it.
Yeah, okay. True that. Okay, so
it's
ALS.
For the coffee.
There's all kinds of search terms I could do right now, but I'm gonna pass on all of that.
What are the effects of nitrous oxide on the brain, Mike?
Okay,
not good. So back to suicide.
Okay.
Not good.
Sorry. Carry on.
Not good.
All right. So can you guys see the screen?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So what we have here is we have since 2005. I'm pleased to announce that there is no interest in the Ice Bucket Challenge ongoing, which provides us with a really solid baseline. If there were, then this would be wonky. But it looks like basically ALS search is pretty consistent. And then in tandem with the Ice Bucket Challenge, search for ALS jumps significantly. I'm going to zoom in chronologically, and so I can't remember when the Ice Bucket Challenge started, but I'm going to go past 90 days because I don't think it was 90 days ago. Yes, okay, so that was actually, we'll go past 30 days, here we go.
Look at that.
So this is our the blue line is your Ice Bucket Challenge, and the red line is searches for ALS, and we see what looks like a pretty parallel increase for a while, and then actually searches for ALS continue to go up while searches for Ice Bucket Challenge decrease. And so, just my first impressions are that, in fact, the Ice Bucket Challenge had a nice rollover effect for searches for ALS in that people started searching for ALS independently more often than Ice Bucket Challenge. And And then they both show a fairly significant drop off as people stopped doing it, or got tired of the videos, or
I think it's interesting to see that something as big as the Ice Bucket Challenge got about 10 days, and so the attention, people could stand the attention for Ice Bucket Challenge for 10 days, and then it was over.
That's a really
And it wasn't the Ice Bucket Challenge. I mean, has it been out for like a year? I mean, like a few months, and then for some reason over that 2-week period, something happened and it spiked for 10 days and then it's gone. So it's,
Yep.
I know, well, I don't know, but I would guess when people started the Ice Bucket Challenge, they're like, oh, this will be great. We're going to do it today. It's going to spike in 2 months, and then we'll be fine.
The
No,
standard hockey stick graphs.
Yeah, it was very much delayed, and I don't know why that happened. I think people are still trying to figure out why did it spike, when it spiked last month. I don't know.
Those viral campaigns there's a lot of sort of mysterious talk about what makes a viral campaign work and what doesn't. But as you can see by the sort of randomness of it, that people who are prepared seem to have a better chance, but they don't have control. There's no control over the zeitgeist. It just happens.
Now, question: are you guys still seeing my screen, or are you seeing
you?
We're seeing you.
Okay. All right. Okay. Great.
So can I ask a really quick question? My science brain is just going to kick in momentarily, and then I promise, like more ready whip, less science. I totally promise. So I promise you, all of our audience, the science first, ready whip second. So the science question I'm going to ask is, can we take this data? So we've got this data of both the event and the search terms, like Robin Williams and suicide, ALS ice bucket, and I know that we're not getting raw data, Jonathan, but could that data, like the day to day, like a number per date, and like a trend, and could we run like some sort of statistical analysis, like a regression or something like that, to say, does interest in suicide prevention spike online during the SPSM chat, for example? Or, could we ostensibly, if we wanted to, starting today, have a hypothesis and then do this actually scientifically, so not go fishing, but have a hypothesis and then track the data and then have a result? Can we do that with the Google Analytics?
I don't know that we can do it with Google Analytics, because I haven't really investigated.
Wait. It's happening again.
Wow.
Ready, rip. That's for the viewers.
That was from me. Thanks. Please continue.
Was I speaking?
Yeah, so you're answering if we can possibly run an analysis, like if we had a hypothesis and if we wanted the institutes to track analytics and...
Yeah, so I don't know if Google Analytics would be our tool of choice or our sort of data source of choice, but I do know that there are, there are different things that we could look at. I mean, obviously, if we're looking at Twitter, I would hope that we would see a bump in overall discussion of suicide and suicide prevention during SPSM chats. If we were to, come up with a basic hypothesis that, having these hangouts will, even controlling for the hashtag SPSM, would result in more discussion of suicide on Twitter. Now, I don't know if that's true. It could be that everybody who would be discussing suicide on Twitter would be at SPSM, and so that would sort of be the opposite effect. But it could also be that there are other things that we could do, like we could aggregate Facebook and do all, sort of the other social media things. But Tony, what do you think? What do you know? Is there a way to take the Google data and kind of export it, kind of get access to those raw numbers?
I believe they will give you some raw numbers. I'm not sure what the API looks like, so I'm not certain exactly what metrics they will give you. But boy, they're giving you a lot of data just when you do a search term. I mean, it's not that, and it doesn't require much interpretation. It's not as if they're not hiding anything from you when you do a search term on the trend. They're just giving you a rating that they have standardized against everything, which is their data set is huge. So, is that an answer? I'm sorry. Did I answer the question? No, sort of.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, I guess just in terms of running analysis, like I can look at the pretty graph that Google gets, but I can't really do analysis if I'm going to be, going over each data point and manually entering it. So the question is, can we get the raw data that we could then plug into SPSS or SAS or Stata or something like that, some statistics program that we could actually do some number crunching with.
I'll Google that and send you a link, but I do believe they will give you access to a limited data set because you could not possibly handle their raw data set for even a minute.
It's too much. You cannot handle the data. Is that?
Yeah. It's more data. It's more data than anybody has facilities for. Like they're, maybe I don't know, multinational corporations maybe, but.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and how far does that data go back? Does anybody know? It'd be interesting to see, the 2 weeks a year ago surrounding Awareness Day versus the 2 weeks surrounding this year's
I
Awareness
looked at
Day.
that, and this seems to get it seems to get a peak. It seems to get more and more attention. This year, it's off the hook huge. But I assume that's all SPSM. Thank you, SPSMers. I'll just take all the credit for all the world suicide prevention efforts. But the point is that there's a synergy that's happening internationally on World Suicide Prevention Day and week that is causing the news media to then act and react, which gives us all of this beautiful, explosion in the graphs that everybody loves.
Yeah, and that's definitely, data that can be written up and published and showed to people and say, 12 months ago versus now, this is what has happened, and we're claiming on the credit because we can, because we're awesome.
Right, because we wrote the paper, so we get all the credit.
And we got Ready Whip.
Right. What was
it
the
comes before and after the science, not during?
What were the dates for suicide prevention last year?
That's a good Google question.
If you'll figure them out if you look at the search term, believe it or not, because you'll see the peaks in the search term on Suicide Prevention Week. It's pretty remarkable. I mean, at least for 3 or 4 years.
It keeps being the September 10th, so it's the same day. So if we compared September 10th,
to each other,
that would be apples to apples.
Yeah. All right. So let's just do a quick screen share here, so that everybody can see what we're talking about here.
I'm so glad, Dr. Singer, that you know how to do a quick screen share, because I do not.
I do, but it's very embarrassing, and I don't like talking about it anymore. It's in court papers, and I'm not allowed to talk about it. I'm sorry. Carry on.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Okay, so here we have September 1st through 7th, September 8th.
Jonathan, would you pull out suicide as a search term and just use suicide prevention, and then pull out the dates to like a year or we need 3 years?
Oh, you went 3 years. Okay. So we'll do September 2011.
This is so geeky.
I know. I'm just like, this is like, I can't. I'm like so excited. I was like, we have to talk about this. It's amazing.
The nerdiest yet of these, vlogs.
I mean, April, like, hey, what's happening? What are these guys doing? I don't know.
Okay, so here we go. So September 2011. Boom. September 2012. I assume these are the dates, and then this is what Tony's talking about. So if we look at the numbers here, 2012, 66 out of a standardized scale of 100 being the most searches for this time period. 59, so the following year, an actual dip of 7 percentage points. And then we have the most, which would be this most recent one.
And what was it? I can't believe I'm pointing at the screen. Like viewers back home can see me
with
pointing
a
at
pen.
the screen like I'm pointing.
Please don't stab me.
Ah! What was that first number? What's that first number?
That's 38. Here, I'll
go
go
ahead
back.
and kick it out to the beginning of Google.
Yeah,
2004 to present.
that's
When you see
exactly what I
this.
was
Oh,
just
you're
about
just
to
going to do
do.
that. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad we have these meetings. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great for airtime to let's move the charts around.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess this
I'm glad we do rehearsal before the actual show.
Isn't it awesome? Isn't it awesome? I think 15 minutes was totally enough.
Yeah.
Since it took us 25 to all get connected.
Well, no, it was mainly me.
Sorry, Mike.
No. We Tony was the only one who didn't have problems today.
Yeah.
So are these all?
Okay,
These aren't all September dates, though.
No.
No.
This is suicide prevention. Interest in suicide prevention since 2004. And look what happens.
It's been like sloping down, sort of, or I guess.
Look at the peaks.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. 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 Boom.
Wow. So the idea of having an international day to do this does absolutely make sense for generating interest in it. So when people say, oh, it doesn't matter, everybody has a day for everything, it doesn't make a difference. If you're interested in getting people interested in suicide prevention, having a day and inviting people to share your information and be engaged with it online makes a difference.
It sure does.
It does. Now, there's something else that we can look at that's interesting, which is regional interest. So Ireland.
Yep.
Hi, Ireland. #IrishMed. You all are awesome.
Liam and
Liam Farrell.
Rory.
So what I think is interesting is, and this is a Google data question. So it's Ireland. What does that mean in terms of trends? And again, we're looking at almost a 10-year period. I know that Dell Computers, for example, was located in Ireland, right? They had the whole tech boom there. And I don't know if this is searches that originated in Ireland. I don't know if there was something about Ireland, if there was a rash of suicides there. But I think that's the kind of thing that we'd have to be able to explain.
It's unfortunately to do with the unpleasantness between the British and the Irish. It's regarding mostly suicide bombing, for those of you who are not sort of world politics types.
Well, and that might be the case. I guess
they
I'm
take
looking.
it really serious. Like the Irish crowd is so wonderful about their media, especially the suicide prevention crowd. They're doing such a fantastic job of late.
Yeah, they really, truly are. They had events that we attended this week and were invited to, and they were great. And so I'm just going to shout out on Twitter.
They really care about the issue, so they're taking it very seriously. Their public health infrastructure is taking it very seriously, and you can see that in the chart, which is cool. I think.
Yeah, that's great. Now, and sort of interesting related searches. American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is the only organization that charts.
And you see it charts at a 5.
At a 5 compared to, these other terms.
What about IASP doesn't chart?
Yeah. Yeah, not in prevention, no.
Okay.
Not in suicide prevention, but I mean you can search each individual organization and you'll see what their individual hits are, but they're very small because it doesn't appear in the searches that I did. I didn't see a standout brand. All of these efforts seem to sort of converge to create these trends that we're seeing, these big peaks. But there's not like a brand like the target of suicide prevention. There's nobody owns it.
All right. I guess you guys just saw me tweeting that out. All right. Now, one of the things about this kind of trend is, of course, we have more people on the internet, right? I mean, there are more people using the internet. We see, in terms of research, especially with these kinds of trends, you always want to account for what is happening anyway. So I would assume that there would be more and more searches over time for topics as people no longer have to search when they get back to their computer, but rather can search from their phone when they're sitting on the subway. So I would assume that would happen. So if we were to do any research, we would have to account for that as well. But as Tony said in his response to my original share, the social media or the searches for suicide prevention have really spiked this year in comparison to previous years. Are there
I think the scale is regularized for volume, so because otherwise this Google searches of 2005 would look infinitesimally small in comparison to today, so it has to already have been done for you.
Okay, that's that. I was wondering about that.
So, Dr. Sevilla, if you were expanding this out beyond the number geeks and beyond those of us who are a little bit, having a bit of a hard-on for the charts, and I include myself there metaphorically, what would you say?
Whipped cream.
I have a moment.
Dr. Sevilla, I'm always so appropriate. That's why people tune in. So, what are you noticing, and what would you want to know?
What would I want to know? Yeah, that is the question. Why is this happening? And how can we build on this? In the coming years. And obviously those are obvious questions. But we've talked before about different social media campaigns, awareness campaigns. I mean, we can do this data out many years, and we know that the interest is out there. But when you talk about specific, campaigns, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or email or whatever, about what direction to go next, I don't know what direction to go next. Or is it a piece of all of those, and who to direct that to? I mean, some of these things are, who is the audience? What is the message? What is the timeline? What are your goals to do all that? Especially if you're a pirate, but you don't have ReadyWhip.
ReadyWhip Pirates of Suicide Prevention.
There is a search term, ReadyWhip Pirates. I think I played football for that team, and there were some screen shares, and some of my iCloud pictures were leaked out, and I can't talk about them.
Uh-oh, so topical, Dr. Mike.
There you go.
So, I'm the first two questions as you're sort of looking over this data that I would really love for Tony and Jonathan then to address would be, why do we think we're seeing the data that has become regularized and is presenting in the way that we see it present? Like, if we were going to form a hypothesis, what would that be? And based on our best guesses, which Dr. Singer is very clear is not empirically driven research conclusions, it's just our best guess, based on the fishing expedition.
Spurious correlations would be fair.
Right. Which is what we're all about here. On the on-air. Like, how could we use this? Because the truth is, and I'm gonna screen up here, so the truth is that by the time somebody collects the data and writes a paper on it, a couple of years are going to have passed. In the meantime, there's a lot of lost ground for opportunities for social media campaigns. So we would need to social media happens so quickly that we would need to be able to recognize things, make educated guesses, and then move on with a media idea that might fit it. So what should we be doing with this? Based on what we're seeing, Tony and Jonathan, what should we be doing with this?
Well, I think that one of the things that would be important if we wanted to be taken seriously is not is really not to find ourselves sort of like underwater with all of these data. But,
wow.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Instead, I think it would be very important.
Go ahead.
We could do the kind of thing that Nate Silver does with his 365 blog, where if we did want to do a regular feature where people knew that they could go to get analysis, or rather more interpretation of data having to do with suicide prevention, social media, effects of campaigns, that would be the place to go. Who's the guy for Suicidology that puts together the annual stats? You can go to Suicidology's, the American Association of Suicidology website, and every year you have the most recent stats broken down age, race, gender, that sort of thing.
Isn't that the CDC report?
Well, it's taken. I think it's taken from the CDC report, but is it John McIntosh? I forget the guy's name, but there's one guy who puts together this report. I think it's probably taken from CDC data, and puts it in a user-friendly format that you can just go and grab the data. Now that's an annual thing, and it's certainly not the time frame that you're talking about, but that would be one way that we could not be behind the game, behind the eight ball or whatever the metaphor is with these trends in terms of getting out the information.
I think the message for advocates is keep it up. They've become better and better at targeting their audience. They're doing better and better whippets, apparently.
Apparently.
Sorry, go ahead.
They got to keep it up. Keep up targeting. Keep up doing more targeted campaigns for better engagement. Keep measuring the engagement. Keep paying attention to what reaches the audience. Stop making threefold pamphlets and setting them on dusty desks. Keep up. Keep spending your money on and your time on getting the message out to people who are interested.
I mean, are there other like awareness days through the year? Because I know for my community, I mean, we have National Primary Care Week, we have World Family Doctor Day that are different parts of the year, so you don't have to wait 12 months for your next spike. I mean, are there other types of awareness campaigns in your community?
Yes. We're really excited that mental health awareness is coming up in October, and Raquel Goodrich, who is going to be on in just like 13 minutes on the SPSM chat, is going to be talking about Text Talk Act, which they're going to be launching another version of for Mental Health Awareness Month in October, and there are a bunch of social media campaigns for mental health, that are clustering around that, and of course suicide is the #1 mental health emergency, so it's a great opportunity to do that again.
Cool. And I saw some of that information about that, and look, there's a lot of organizations that are coalescing behind this awareness campaign, which is great because something that I see is like a lot of, at least in my community, there's all these separate silos and groups that want to do their own thing, and they don't come together, and they fight, and it's a mad political type of thing. But I'm cool. It's great that this one text type, whatever, I forget what it's called.
Text Talk Act.
Right. Have all these organizations behind it in one message in one program, which is very cool.
And I don't know if you guys recall, but last week on SPSM chat we had Gabrielle Acosta, who was talking about, of course, blog carnivals. That is like up our alley, right? And quite honestly, the idea that when we get together, we get these spikes in messaging, and that it's really a collaborative item, that the circle rises together in terms of messaging, is something that we need to do on purpose all the time. So we need to be pals and support each other's campaigns and messaging each time.
There's nothing wrong with communicating with your community and with your established base, but it seems that the success and the opportunities for growth come from bringing your message up above the average fray and getting a little bit of a wider audience so that the general public is more exposed to whatever it is you're advocating for.
Yes, I am a wide audience, but I'm working on that. Less ready whip.
Less ready
whip. Dr. Sevilla, I mean, like, when we think about how huge of an audience, and by the way, for those of you who are joining us, we have several viewers right now. Like, you had a really large audience in the past week, did you not, Dr. Sevilla?
Yes, I just kept tweeting. No, I mean, I was at this fabulous Stanford Medicine X meeting.
You weren't just at it. What were you doing there?
No, I was tweeting. I was not presenting. I was not on stage. I was just tweeting, and I was talking with people and getting in trouble and having a lot of beverages, some of them with Ready Whip and some of them with not Ready Whip.
You didn't have Ready Whip. You're much too respectable for that, Dr. Sevilla.
I can neither confirm nor deny that I had Ready Whip last week. But there are no pictures that I know of.
No live
I don't
video.
know. I got access to your iCloud.
There you go. There you go. But what was cool about that meeting is that, I mean, obviously the content, but the social media angle is that there's all these people on Twitter, and a lot of them have huge followings, and we're all live tweeting, and we're all reaching our separate audiences with the same message. And then that Medicine X hashtag, kept going up and up and up and rising up and up and up, and more impressions and things. And that's what happens when you slowly start to gather those people who get social media advocacy. And SPSM is doing that. I mean, you have the data, from when you started SPSM, which is very cool, and it's just going to continue to build.
We hope.
So, as a matter of fact, can you share the data from your impressions, and it was really even broken down by major contributors?
I have it somewhere. I could try to find it.
My husband
this
just
is
ducked
what
out
the
here.
negative 10 minutes of rehearsal we had.
Yeah, my husband.
So while Mike is looking
what
up,
the howling laughter was about.
while Mike's looking up his data trends, let me do one screen share. We were talking about the other search terms that might be interesting that we could look for trends. So one of the campaigns that has been going on in suicide prevention for the last couple of years is the campaign that Mike's wearing the T-shirt on, the You OK T-shirt, for national for youth suicide prevention. So let's just take a quick look here. Oh, actually, I'm going to switch this. So here's the American Association of Suicidology You OK Friends Ask page, right? So this is a program, and here's the trend. So program starts, and again, normalized to 100, and it seems like the campaigns that they have run.
Nice shirt, Dr. Sevilla.
In September, have been spiking. The third one not so much, but the most recent one is the most searched UK trend. So clearly, the things that are being done during the campaign influence the use of the search term, because nobody's searching for it. November, December, October, January, those sorts of things. So anyway, I just wanted to share that.
I can't find it. Sorry, but it was a lot. It was a lot of people.
And I think what
Lots and lots. And let's
Everybody
remember
take
this
a look
episode brought to you by ConAgra, the makers of Ready Whip.
I wish they're not a sponsor,
Really,
but
we would
wouldn't-
love a
we wouldn't
sponsorship
say
from
no.
ConAgra. We would welcome one from Monsanto as well.
But
Wow.
let's look at
You just
doctors.
put that out there. That's wow.
We're totally for sale. We have a message to distribute. It doesn't distribute itself for free.
That's
So,
right.
Dr. Sevilla.
Nothing here is free, friends.
So, Dr. Sevilla, as if that is the most exciting thing I've said tonight, come now, folks. So, Dr. Sevilla, show us your shirt again, because I've kept trying to flip the screen.
Show me your shirt.
Wow.
That's what it's come down to.
Wow.
That's what
All
happened
right.
to us.
Where are my Mardi Gras beads to throw you?
The locals don't do that. That's tacky.
That's tacky.
And I have a lot
Wow.
of beads.
You guys have
You okay?
Man.
You okay? So this is wonderful. So every time that they
Yes.
would do an awareness campaign, it really is working, right?
It really is.
The pirate hats are coming in and out. So thank you, like Dr. Sevilla, really showing the shirt. We had at Text Talk Act this week, we had Dr. Bill Schmitz wearing his shirt and taking pictures with his local pharmacist. Like in the Target, there was like these fun tweets. It was pretty cool. But it looks like every time that one of these awareness campaigns happen, it actually really does seem to be deriving interest. We have a couple of more people tweeting on our social media channels. Sanford James says he couldn't get on the YouTube link for some reason. He didn't get to see the stream, but he's saying hey. Amelia is so excited. She's sending us her love at ATOS84. And then Melody Jarvis, one of our lived experience crowd, says, as someone with lived experience, I know that combating suicidal thoughts can be a full-time job. Respect and empathy to anyone else who's struggling. And we're very interested in moving that needle up on getting people to be interested in suicide prevention. Melanie Jarvis is saying every day she's got to think about and live with a chronic mental health condition, and there are many people living with the same issue, and she wants respect and empathy for that, which is fully understandable. So how can we do messaging that really drives down stigma and increases awareness and those expressions of empathy and respect? And that was too many words together. I've silenced the room.
Ready.
Wait, could you repeat the question, the actual last part of the question again, please?
So how can we be doing messaging that drives down stigma and increases public expressions of empathy and respect?
I mean, I think one way is modeling, right? When you see. I mean, I think that there was definitely, and this could just be, my echo chamber, but, when Robin Williams died by suicide, there were a lot of folks that came out very supportive of Robin Williams and very sort of empathetic to his struggle. There were a couple of assholes who came out. I think Gene Simmons from Kiss and Henry Rollins from Rollins Band and Black Flag, who both came out and were basically just complete pricks.
The teddy bears of music.
Yeah, exactly. Saying that they had no respect for somebody that would do that, but I think the tone was set, at least as far as I could tell, that for the most part, Robin Williams is beloved, but that there was very much respect for the fact that he was struggling, and that this wasn't sort of an act of cowardice, and some of the other stigmatizing or it was sort of moral failing, some of the other stigmatized conceptions of suicide, and so I think that would be one thing is precedent setting. And some of the things that we've talked about are, April, you might have even used this, you did, at Suicidology you were talking about, when towns get flooded, you just have to have more good water than bad water kind of thing.
Yeah, solution to pollution is dilution. Yes,
that's exactly right. And so by having that out there and making sure that, people are ready to go, to lead by example, the kind of examples we want to be leading, then I think that'll set a good trend.
The strength that we seem to be building from many different organizations that target many different audiences with many different messages, that's seeming to be quite effective at this point, because the language in journalism seems to be softening. The zeitgeist of the internet and new media seems to be much more respectful and knowledgeable, and these are people from totally different walks of life. Financial reporters, people who would have just said committed suicide 2 years ago, and we didn't reach them directly. Nobody called them up. It happened because of the combined efforts of all of these different groups and all of these different advocates doing their part to reach the communities that they have access to.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Quantity messaging matters.
I think what'll be, just quickly finishing up, I think what'll be interesting to see is the data a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And I think that this Robin Williams event is this watershed event for this community, is that you're going to be seeing that, just like Tony's saying, the softening in the press, the people's attitudes, as far as awareness and on this awareness days. So looking forward is very, very exciting in this education prevention community.
And the only reason I'm wrapping this up because it's the hour, so our regular chat is ready to roll, and people are starting to show up. Hashtag SPSM. We have at Raquel Goodrich, and I love little fingers. So we're going to be wrapping up here on the vlog, and then we're going to be rolling over to the chat. And Ursula Whiteside has been moderating for the last several weeks, but she will not be here tonight. So I will be moderating tonight, so I absolutely got to pay attention to the screen. And I look away, and then I look down, and then all the pirates are back.
What's a pirate's favorite letter?
All right. We'll see you on the chat.
We'll
We'll see everybody on SPSM.
Thanks, April. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks,
Thanks
everybody.
to
Thanks
Dr.
so much,
Jonathan
Mike.
Singer at Social Work Podcast, Dr. Mike Sevilla at Dr. Mike Sevilla, and Mr. Tony Wood at ADWWW. We'll see you all at SPSM.
Thanks, at Doc Foreman.
Woohoo! Talk to you soon.